Greetings everyone, I'm Hoodie Angel Brandon. Today I'm bringing you my follow-up thoughts on Nintendo's E3 Direct for 2017. If you haven't seen already, I did a video discussing, well, I've done a few videos for E3 related stuff or things around E3. I already did a video on the Pokemon Direct, the Rabbids Kingdom Battle reveal from Ubisoft's presentation, as well as a video on what I wanted to see and expected to see from this direct. So I'll kind of be glossing over things that were already covered in those videos. But with that in mind, let's just dive right in. So first it showed a little montage featuring some competitive games. That's something they were really pushing here. Two things were the idea of games taking you on a journey, which makes sense with Mario Odyssey being their big title for the next half of the year. It makes sense that they're really pushing that whole going on a journey thing. Also fits in with the Switch's portability. Makes sense. So that's one of the things, that's a recurring theme they had throughout here. It did okay tying everything together. And the other recurring theme was the idea of competition, which was supported by this opening trailer, or this opening montage rather. It seems Nintendo's really going in hard on that esports kind of thing, trying to build up a competitive player base or appeal to the competitive players, because I feel like that's something Nintendo's always kind of been not the best at. They've always had great fun games, but they've never really super dove into like the competitive nature. Like Mario Kart there are people who are super competitive about that, but it's got that element of randomness with the items in it. It's something that you can argue isn't super tailored to the competitive players. Smash, since Melee, has tried to be kind of Nintendo's main competitive game. Particularly Melee has been the big Nintendo game that has like a huge competitive presence. So it seems like they're really trying to get competitive players games for their platform. So with that opening montage, they showed off ARMS, which we already knew was one of those games they're trying to push. They showed Pokken. I've already talked about Pokken before. They showed Splatoon. Love my Splatoon. And then for new games that they showed, they showed FIFA, which we already knew was coming to the Switch. So, I mean, that's cool for sports fans. I mean, there are going to be sports games on the Switch. I don't care. I know a lot of the more Nintendo-y fans don't really care because those games don't generally come to Nintendo, or when they do, they're kind of like gimped. But it's still important to have those there for the people who want it, the more casual players and the people who are just really big into sports games. If it gets them interested in buying the hardware because, hey, I can take FIFA on the go, I can take NBA on the go, that's important for getting people buying the Switch and getting that install base up. So I don't care, but it's there. And then lastly, they showed Rocket League in that montage, which I know a lot of people, I don't care about it, but I know a lot of people are really big into it. When the Switch was being announced, there were people campaigning on Twitter to get Rocket League on the Switch. They kind of teased that at the beginning. I'll talk more about that later on. We're just going in chronological order here. And then Reggie came out and he started talking about how games are a journey. Anyway, I gotta say, nothing really. Usually Reggie's kind of got that meme status going on, and he didn't have it there. It was a little. This was a more serious Nintendo presentation, which I'm sure some people appreciate it, but it kind of lacked that kind of Nintendo charm to it. I don't know. I just thought it felt a little sterile, I guess. Anyways, so moving on into the actual games after Reggie came out and talked, they had a big segment for Xenoblade 2, which I still haven't gotten around to playing either of the other two Xenoblade games. But I don't know. I don't know if this is following the first. I mean, probably, because X was like a spin-off, like in its own separate like dimension or world or whatever, from what I understand. So this is probably, since X was its own thing and this is 2, it's probably following off some point from the first, or at least in like the same reality or whatever. And it was this big like trailer and everything. I wasn't wild about the voices in it. I don't know, they just felt kind of off. I like I know they were like the Australian or British voice actors. That wasn't it. It was just like something about like the way they were saying the lines just didn't connect with the characters, I guess. I don't know. I'm not an expert for that, so I don't know what exactly it was there that was throwing me off, but something about that just didn't click with me. The graphics were okay, but it just didn't look like they were really utilizing the Switch to its full potential. It looked, I don't know, it just, something was off. Something about the whole Xenoblade thing was just a little off. But for what the gameplay they were showing, it looked cool. It looked solid. They had some big monsters and everything. They had some big like fight scenes and stuff. It looked interesting. I don't know enough about Xenoblade to really say though. And that is confirmed for Holiday 17, which I guess that means they aren't pushing it back, but there's still no solid release date on that. So probably get more on that in whatever Nintendo's next presentation is. Following up from that, they showed a new Kirby. It was really cool. And the main thing was they like showed like it looked, at first I was like, oh, is this like, it looked just like Return to Dreamland. But then Kirby like did this thing where he like tossed a heart at an enemy and it joined his side as a CPU player. And that's really cool. It looks like and he recruited up to 3, so he had like a full gang of guys there, and they could use their powers. They could combine it like they combined the bombs with Kirby's water power, and like Kirby had the sword, and one of the enemies used fire on it, and he got a flaming sword. It's really cool. It's really creative. I like it. I like that a lot. At first I was like, wow, this is like really Return to Dreamland-esque, but then they showed Wispy Woods and he had like this really nice wood texture on it. It's just like the best looking Kirby graphically speaking, which is interesting because Kirby's not really about the graphics. So it's funny that I think Kirby had better graphics than Xenoblade, honestly. But anyways, that's coming for 2018. And then the next game they showed, well, it wasn't a game, they had one of the guys from Pokemon Company, and he was talking, he was like, we have Pokken Tournament DX for Switch, and I'm like, yawn, been there, done that, you didn't update the Wii U version, hard to have trust that you're gonna, if you add something else to the arcade, that you're gonna update the Switch version, because you didn't follow through on the Wii U. It's just kind of a broken trust thing. But that was just whatever. But they confirmed a new core Pokemon game in development for Switch. Yes, that is what I wanted to see on the Pokemon Direct the other day. That's what I wanted to hear. Firm commitment that, yes, we are actually supporting the Switch moving forward. Because, I'll talk about the 3DS later. But that was another highlight. They didn't show us anything. They didn't say if it's going to be, like, in Gen 7 or if they're moving on to Gen 8. Hard to say. They didn't say anything just beyond, we're working on it. So that's good. And then next, they had this, it was just exactly what I thought it would be, just a teaser for Metroid Prime 4. Because I'm not a Metroid fan, I wasn't super hyped, like I'm sure a lot of people went nuts. I kind of expected us to see something for that, but I'm sure there are people going crazy. And the main reason I'm excited for it is because now people can please stop complaining about Metroid. I've gotten, like, as much as I'm sure people are sick of hearing me complain about Mother 3, Metroid is the one for me where I'm just like, shut up about Metroid, shut up about Metroid, shut up about Metroid. It's coming. So please stop. So no gameplay, not even a cinematic trailer or anything like I was kind of hoping we'd see. Just, it's coming. Next, they showed a new Yoshi. It wasn't Woolly World, but it really reminded me of Woolly World because it had this craft item theme to it. Like a little, everything like a diorama kind of style to it. It was cute. And I really dig that Yoshi's kind of Yoshi and Kirby are kind of those two series where they kind of experiment with all the different art styles. It's really cool. And that's coming in 2018. After that, they moved to Fire Emblem Warriors, and they showed off like some cutscene looking things. The protagonists, who I believe were previously revealed in like a tweet from the Japanese Fire Emblem Twitter. I'd seen them before, but and I wasn't wild about them then. I don't know. I'm still not wild about our Super Saiyan protagonist now. I don't know. There's just like his hair is just kind of. It's not the full going up crazy anime style, but it's not normal either. It's just some kind of weird in between. So the male protagonist is his design's just kind of off to me. The female protagonist's cute though. And then they showcased some playable characters. They had Ryoma, they had Corrin, female Corrin. Hopefully male Corrin is an alternate model for her. Otherwise I'll never touch her because and then most importantly, my boy Xander! I love Xander so much. I love Xander so much. Anyways, they showed off some stuff for that. Like some scenes. The models on that too, they still kind of looked. They had that same thing with Xenoblade where they just looked a little off. They didn't look as high quality and with like textures and details as they did in Hyrule Warriors. So that's a little disappointing. Hopefully that they're like gonna polish that up or whatever, or like upscale that for the Switch. I don't know. Either way, just excited. I'd buy that game just to play as Xander and mow through enemies like Xander mows through enemies on Conquest. Oh my god. Love you, Mark Sama. Next, they moved to Zelda stuff. They briefly reviewed, for anyone who happened to miss it, that Zelda compatibility is in Skyrim. I made a jokey video about that if you want to check that out. Basically, just my thoughts on it. It's cool that, like, third-party devs are continuing to embrace Amiibo. We have Monster Hunter. We have Mega Man Legacy Collection from Capcom, both of those. We have Yacht Club Games with Shovel Knight. There have been a few developers who have really tried to work Amiibo in, but it's just always nice to see more developers being like, yeah, we'll try and use Amiibo for something. But like, it's not huge, honestly. It's a cool thing, but it's not like game changing. I don't know. And then more focus on actual Zelda instead of Zelda in Skyrim. They talked about the DLC packs, which honestly, this is like the E3 of I don't know things. Metroid, this, Xenoblade, all things I don't know about. But I've been avoiding Breath of the Wild spoilers because I haven't gotten to play it yet because I'm waiting to get a Switch and play it on there. I want to experience it for the first time with the best quality and everything. So even though I have a Wii U, I'm holding off on that. So I'm just kind of spoiler dodging now. So I didn't know everything of what they were doing, but there wasn't anything super spoilery in there for me. Nothing I hadn't seen casually online. They showed something called the Trial of the Sword, where Link was running around beating things up with the tree branch. It looks like some kind of like challenge mode thing. And for some reason Link had no clothes. Still hot though. And they showed another thing called the Hero's Path, and more armor and accessories, particularly Majora's Mask, Midna's helmet, or a Kurok mask. Those were all cool, particularly the Majora's Mask helmet, or mask. That was cool. Always great to see just Majora's Mask love, because I love Majora's Mask so much. And then they showed something called Master Mode, a more difficult mode that they were talking about. And that whole set is DLC Pack 1. The Master Trials is the name of the expansion pack. And that comes out on the last day of this month, June 30th. And, like, next they had a thing called the Champion's Ballad, which is the bigger expansion pack coming in the holiday. I have no context for that. I know that those are like the 4 champions of Hyrule, but beyond that, I don't really know. It looked like it might be more focused on Zelda rather than Link. So there's that. Maybe it's like a side story of what Zelda's doing while Link's running around adventuring and setting Hyrule on fire. Just my best guess with no context. So that's cool. They also showed off 4 Champions Amiibo, which I know a lot of people have really wanted and have been predicting and stuff. It's cool, and just like the other Breath of the Wild figures, they looked really gorgeous. Aside from, again, more ugly plastic supports. I don't know why those are still a thing. We are making Amiibo with the fact that they are figures in mind. Why are we still stapling supports to them? I do not know. But as cool as they look, I really can't get hyped for them because I just don't have that context. Like, it'd just be like if... It'd be like if they released Amiibo of the Master Chief from Halo. It'd be like, okay, it's cool, I guess, but I don't care because I don't know Halo, so it's something I can't comment on. And next they started going to they showed the Rabbids off, and they were like, oh well, it's a Switch exclusive. Surprise, surprise, because Nintendo was really gonna let you put Mario on other platforms. It's like, we knew. That's coming August 29th. And then they went more in depth on Rocket League, which, as I said, was shown in the montage reel, which is cool for fans of the game. I know, like I said, there was a big push on Twitter to get that game on the Switch. I don't know, the devs looked kind of there. They didn't look super excited that we've got our game coming to the Switch. People can play it on the go, get hyped. It was just kind of, yeah, it's coming. We're going to have some exclusives for it. I don't know. No real energy there. That was whatever. But they did say it will have crossplay. No, not that kind. Which is cool. I know during Microsoft's conference, they also said Minecraft was going to have crossplay with like all platforms, including the Switch. Which, man, if you told me a few years ago that eventually all these companies would be like, yeah, crossplay on our platforms is like totally a thing you can do now, I wouldn't have believed it. And then they also said the Switch will have local wireless, which is cool because, I mean, one of the appeals of the Switch is on the go. Anyways, and then wrapping things off, by the way, the placement of Rocket League was really awkward because it was in between the Rabbids segment and the Mario segment. Like, it just makes sense that the Rabbids would transition right into Mario, and they didn't. They broke it up. I don't know why they did that. That's weird. Anyways, Mario Odyssey, which it sounded like they were going to make that the huge focus of the presentation, but it was just kind of at the end. I mean, it showed up. It showed up big time, but I just expected it to have more of a presence than it actually did. Like, I expected it to take up at least like a third of the direct, honestly, just talking about it and stuff, but it really didn't. And they showed off more hats. They had like a chef's hat and a sombrero, and it looked like they all did different things. Like, I think one of them, Mario did like a spin attack type thing, like Galaxy-esque, as opposed to throwing it and then jumping on it like he did with the standard hat in the first trailer we saw for it. So new hats, new powers. A lot of people speculated on that. Just cool to see that confirmed. And then they showed the weirdest power of all. Mario can possess things now. He even inanimate objects, he was like possessing a T-Rex. He possessed a little frog. Somewhere, thousands of people are now shipping Big the Cat and Mario. And then, like, also like a taxi, a bullet bill, a fireball, just all kinds of off-the-wall things that Mario can now possess, which looks like it gives a lot of options on how to play and approach the game, and a lot of just like depth, which is really cool to see because, like, I don't know, one of my things with Mario is it's always been kind of like linear in the way you approach it. Like, even like Mario Galaxy, like, it was kind of like a linear path. Like, it'd be like, okay, you just go from here to here. Oh, suddenly you've got to stop and collect these little pieces of a launch star and then back onto the path. This looks like it could open up a lot more options in how you play it, which is great. Really going back to that, I guess, Mario 64-esque, like, really open world, which is what they were promising. So great to see. And then it had this like cool little song in the background, and it looks like they brought back Pauline from the original like Donkey Kong game, where instead of Peach, Mario had to rescue Pauline. And I think they brought her back also for the Mario versus Donkey Kong games. Anyway, it's just cool to see her making a return cameo thing. But overall, I think Odyssey looks great. Like, still great as it did day one. Certainly weird, off the wall, unique, but that's all great things that we want to see instead of just new Super Mario Bros. For the 5th time. It looks great. And that's coming on 10/27. That's October 27th, if my counting is right. I don't know. My brain's fried right now, but so yeah, it looks really cool. And that closed out their actual direct. There's still more stuff to talk about though. Sorry, this is gonna be a super long video, but so more stuff that they didn't show in the actual direct that was like just on Nintendo's channel and pages afterwards, why? Because some of this is like more interesting than some of the things that they actually showed in the direct. Like, instead of talking about Skyrim for the 17th time, they could have talked about these games. Anyways, they showed a 2D Metroid, like, yeah, 2 Metroids, 1 year. I think Nintendo won some people's E3 just with that. After this drought of no real Metroid games, because some people really hate Other M and some people really hate Federation Force. Most people really hate both those games, actually, from what I understand. But after all this time of no real Metroids, suddenly 2 in one fell swoop. Like, why didn't they show this? Again, I'm not super familiar with Metroid, but it's a 2D side-scroller in the vein of the classic Metroids, and it looked really cool. And Samus has this like uppercut melee attack to punch enemies as they get too close when she can't shoot. Really cool looking. And that's called Samus Returns, or Metroid Samus Returns. And that's coming out September 15th, and it's also going to have an amiibo line with it. Well, it's got like 2 figures. I think it was Samus like crouching down and then a tube with a Metroid on it. They looked really good. I'm not a huge Metroid fan, but I'd at least consider picking up the actual Metroid amiibo. I don't need another Samus necessarily, but the Metroid amiibo looked really cool. Anyway, so fans can finally be happy that they're getting a little bit of Metroid love. And then they also showed, for also 3D, a new Mario and Luigi's game. And it was Superstar Saga plus Bowser's Minions. And at first I was like, Superstar Saga, what is this? And it looks like, I'm not totally sure, but it looks like it's an actual remake of the original Superstar Saga with like updated graphics for 3DS. I mean, it would have been cooler to see it on the Switch. But by the way, Superstar Saga is a fantastic game. If you haven't played that, go play that. But so it looks like it's a remake of that, but they're also adding in a whole new side story with, you guessed it, Bowser's Minions, featuring them trying to find Bowser during the events of this game. Anyone who's played, Bowser goes missing fairly early on into the game. That's not really a spoiler or anything. He's just kind of disremoved, but it's kind of showing what's happening on the other side of that while Mario and Luigi are doing their thing, which is cool. It's clever, and it's a unique spin on a remake. Instead of just the same thing with new graphics, they're actually putting in like a whole nother side story, which is cool to see. And then finally, they showed off, or they didn't show off, but there were more amiibo that were announced. Oh, that Mario game is coming on the 10/6/17, so that's good. And then the other amiibo they announced were for Fire Emblem. They showed Chrom, which looks good, except his shoes are blocky. I guess they really wanted to recreate the feet from Awakening. And they showed Young Tiki, which she just looked good. Like, no real complaints there. Where's my Xander? I just want Xander. That's all I wanted out of a Hyrule or a Fire Emblem Warriors line. Xander. And they also showed off Super Mario figures, which I'm assuming this is like Mario Wave 3, which I also kind of figured would happen. And they look great, all of them. No complaints on those. It's Mario, Peach, and Bowser in the wedding attire. They look really clean with the white suits. Bowser's got his dapper hat going. looks good, and they also have Goomba and Koopa, who are long overdue. Kind of disappointing, Birdo and Toadette, two other series staples, kind of still left out, but maybe we'll see a Wave 4 eventually. I mean, it's Mario, it's always relevant. So that covers what all Nintendo showed. Real quick, my highlights, my personal highlights in no particular order, were the Amiibo figures. The new ones looked really good. Even the ones I didn't really care for, Samus and the 4 champions from Zelda, they all still look great. I mean, nothing there that hyped me quite as much as when they unveiled like 8-Bit Link or Majora's Mask Link, because they forgot Xander. But they all look really good. They're definitely a good number that I'd want to pick up and unbox or whatever. Xander confirmed 4 Fire Emblem Warriors. We already knew because his sword appeared in the first trailer, but it's always nice to have that confirmation, and my big bro Xander just always looks good. The new Kirby, super hyped for that. I really want to play that. The new Pokemon being confirmed, even though we didn't get a whole lot, it was still... I'm still looking forward to that more than Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, and definitely more than Pokken, even though Pokken has my Decidueye. Metroid, it's cool that, like, in that it looks cool, the 2D one, and that the Prime one is confirmed. Not super hype for me necessarily, but it is hype in general. And then lastly, Mario just looks like the best Mario game in forever. So that's all exciting. The bad, which there wasn't too much bad here, just like Xenoblade and Fire Emblem, the looks weren't quite there. The fact that they just left out some really good stuff from their direct, I get that they wanted to focus on the Switch rather than the 3DS, but there's no reason to not show off the Amiibo, because Fire Emblem Warriors and Mario are both on the Switch, and I assume that the Metroid Amiibo will have compatibility with Prime 4. I mean, that's just kind of a safe guess. Oh, this probably indirectly confirms Amiibo support for Mario Odyssey, which we all guessed. Yeah, it's the next big Mario, it's going to have Amiibo support, but this is probably just confirmation, because otherwise what would you do with the wedding theme, the Mario Odyssey specific wedding themed Bowser and Peach and Mario? But I get them wanting to focus on the Switch rather than the 3DS, but it's just so, like, wishy-washy. Like, I get that you're trying to keep the 3DS on life support, but choose either fully support it, feature it in your directs, show the cool stuff that you're putting out for it so that people know, hey, the 3DS is still technically alive, or just let it die off, which is what I think they honestly should be shifting towards at this point. I feel like they kind of hit the point where they should have switched, but, you know, that's them. I just feel like they need to commit. Like, they should have committed already, but they need to commit at this point. Like, they need to decide, are we still supporting the 3DS, or are we just going to focus on the Switch? Stop sending mixed messages. I didn't like that. And then lastly, still no Virtual Console. Nothing about it. Like, just, when is it coming? When is it coming? Of course, branching out from that, obviously there are things that I wanted to see which didn't get confirmed. Just based off of that, there's no Mother 3 confirmed for Switch. Cry every time. No Custom Robo or other GameCube games for Switch, because no Virtual Console still or no word on Virtual Console. Other things I was really hoping we'd see, but realistically didn't think we would. No new Animal Crossing game for Switch. No Smash. Not surprised on either of those, but it's still disappointing. Overall, I'd say, as a Nintendo fan, it was a solid presentation. There wasn't necessarily a lot there that was stuff that I got super excited for, but as a Nintendo fan in general, I thought it was really solid, really good. Not their most exciting presentation even this year, I think, but it was still solid. I think it was good. So that's my thoughts. Let me know what you think down below. Thank you for watching this absurdly long video. This Hoodie Angel Brandon signing out.